Hey everybody, welcome back to the program. Today we are talking about the reissues of the Red and Blue albums. These are the 50th anniversary remixes of these compilation albums that came out in 1973. And we're gonna talk about them and maybe decide we don't want them after all. We'll find out in this video, but before we get into it, I just wanna take a moment and ask you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really does make a big difference. I just want to go into a little bit about the history of it. So at the time of their release, this was one of the last things their manager Alan Klein put together. And it was essentially made to combat these Beatles bootlegs that were coming out at the time that were compiling. They're essentially being a best of themselves. And so the Beatles really didn't have anything like that. So this was compiled and put together. And in my opinion, rather quickly, there was some thought put into it, but this was pretty bare minimum. I like the fact that they did the photos the way they did and how they split up the two eras of the Beatles. I think that makes a lot of sense. And they're great to listen to, in fact. I like the compilation aspect. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Getting to 2023, as of this taping, the Beatles have announced the reissues of both of these. They're getting a deluxe remix treatment, not unlike what we received with Revolver last year. So it's the original albums plus essentially a third LP for both, in total 6 LPs. And the third LP for both of these include new tracks, including the brand new Now and Then, the final Beatles song. So that's exciting. And yeah, it was about time to have some nice new compilations come out. I especially love the fact that these are all new mixes, especially on the Red album. We're getting these demixed using machine learning to essentially, separate the tracks and then give these all proper mixes. Fantastic. I love the results in the Revolver box set. Same thing with the Blue album here, although most of these come from the various remixes over the years, starting with Sgt. Pepper's in 2017. I think that's great to have a lot of those all on one package. These are great compilations. These are excellent for someone who's just getting into the band. These would be great as a gift to your kids. For people who have a small record collection and they want some Beatles and they don't know where to start, I think this is a great way to go. And then with that, there's the idea that if they've done all that effort to go back to songs, all the way from Please Please Me and use this technology, that just opens the door for them to revisit all of those albums pre-Revolver. So that's pretty exciting. That has not been officially announced. It's just kind of the rumor going around, but the fact that they went ahead and remixed all of these tracks using that technology, it's pretty safe to say we're gonna get those because, the Beatles as a company likes to make money. And that's a way to make a lot of money. Well, starting off, I hate the design. I've never liked this design. It felt cheap, thrown together, last minute, not a lot of thought put into it. They're the same thing, essentially, just a different color border. And then you have, in my opinion, kind of a weird gatefold image. It's a weird photo to put on the inside of a best of the Beatles. I just don't think these are that interesting to try to maintain any legacy with them. I feel like what they could have done is something similar to what they did for 8 Days a Week here. They took the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl, this is the original cover, and they created this. The same album, expanded, remixed, cleaned up with bonus tracks. And it's just like, wow, what an improvement. I don't think anybody was that nostalgic over this particular cover. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's a product of its time. And then this, ooh, that's striking, you know what I mean? Feels like a Beatles album. I like that. It might look a little dated in time, who knows? But, I like how the Beatles 1 looks. I still like the Beatles Anthology. I think this was a brilliant cover design. This, not so much. And it feels like, gosh, they could have done that. Now, another weird thing that only applies to the vinyl reissues is the fact that they essentially copied the same track layout as the original 2 LP versions. And the whole idea between both of these is that they go in chronological order. The tracks flow in the order that they were released. But when it comes to the third LP for both of these, they're just tacked on there. it baffles my mind why they would do that. Like, why? It just feels so odd to go from the long and winding road, and then it begins with Now and then it goes into stuff on the White Album. I don't get it. I don't get that at all, why they went that direction, because it's not as if they reused the original stampers. These are all new mixes. So they had the opportunity to reorder the tracks. Why not honor the original intention of a chronological layout? But what's even more confusing is that if you look at the CD versions, those are in chronological order. Now, I'm not as negative on the price point, but it does depend on the release. Now, it's about 76 US dollars for the black vinyl and about $80 for the colored variant. They're charging extra for colored vinyl. I get it. I'm not going to complain about that. That's just the way it is. What confuses me is that you can get these bundled together and they come with a slipcase. And if you break them down price for price, the black vinyl version, you actually save $2 US if you buy the bundled version over buying the black vinyl version separately. And so in my mind, they're giving you the slipcase. However, if you look at the colored vinyl versions, they're charging you $15 more. And they've already established in my mind that slipcase doesn't cost anything. They're just double dipping again, upcharging you for a colored vinyl, which I think is ridiculous. And it's frustrating because like times are hard enough as it is, and you're gonna go and do that. And we don't know how limited this is. If it even is limited, we don't know. It just bugs me, man. And it just feels, again, so low effort. Look at that slipcase. Like what, it's unattractive. I don't want to dissuade you from getting the colored vinyl versions. Go for it. I mean, I actually, the blue version I have, the blue album version I have here is actually on blue vinyl. They actually did that back in the day. So I do like the fact that they're honoring how these albums were originally released. Like that makes sense. It's just the upcharging that I don't like. That's the part that rubs me the wrong way. But that all being said, I think the biggest misstep with this release is the exclusion of the two sibling singles for Now and Then. It just, why exclude those? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, there's maybe a reason that I'm not thinking of, but honestly, if they can go back and remix old Beatles recordings that were thought to be unmixable, surely they can go back to these, which were traditionally, properly recorded in the sense that things are on separate tracks. Clean up John's vocals because the machine learning already knows what it is and they can clean that up. Why didn't we get remixes of these two songs and put on that? It seems like it'd be easier, but again, I don't know. I'm just on the outside, but it feels like a missed opportunity. This doesn't feel like they quite crossed the finish line. They could have gone a couple steps more and I would have been sold on this. But as it is now, I don't think it's a must own. I think really consider it depending on the holes in your Beatles collection, especially if you're a longtime collector and you already own a lot of this stuff on vinyl. Like if you already own the anthology collection on vinyl, if you have the number ones, if you have the past masters, if you have a lot of the box sets that have been coming out over the last couple of years, that especially makes the Blue Album redundant, in my opinion. And you can get Now and Then separately as a single. So that all being said, I do kind of recommend the Red Album because you're getting so much for your money in terms of new mixes. Like, I would say a majority of the songs on there are brand new stereo mixes, and that's really exciting. So it's a mixed bag. It's a missed opportunity, but I think these are really good releases for the music because it's Beatles music, you're getting a lot of it, and I think that's what's really gonna sell these. I just wish it was packaged a little bit better, but I could be crazy. Let me know with a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are you gonna pick these up? Do you think I'm a loon? Or do you agree with me? Do you think these don't look that great? I'm curious to know. And also let me know if you are picking these up, which version are you gonna get? And also if you're gonna pick up a bundled version with that slipcase. I'm curious to know what you think. Until then, thank you all so much for watching, but I especially wanna thank my members over on Patreon. They really help to keep this show going. I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side.